Hi, today we are going to do this bag. It's called A Purse Called Wanda. Dennis created the design and I'm going to show you how to do it. Okay, I have all my fabric and my zipper and everything already. I have my no-show poly mesh hooped and I am going to do the 8x10 today. That's not my normal pattern size, but that's what I'm going to do. Let's do a placement. Okay, I have my placement stitch. Now I'm going to tape my zipper between the top two lines, face up. I always do my tab, my pull tab to the left, just like that. I'm going to tape it in place and then tack it down. Okay, it's tacked down my zipper. Now I'm going to turn my hoop over and I'm going to take my lining, and if it's patterned, you want it face down, and I am going to tape it just so the edge here is just below the zipper, like that, okay? Okay, once it's taped there, I'm going to turn my hoop back over, and I'm going to roll my lining up, and I'm going to tape it to my hoop here so it doesn't fall or get caught up in the embroidery machine, okay? Now, on the front, I'm going to do the same with I'm using fabric. If you're using vinyl, you could just put it flat. You don't have to roll the edge, but this is not going to have a satin seam. So I'm using quilted fabric, and I'm going to place it here, line it up once again with the edge down at the bottom of the zipper, edge of the zipper, tape it in place, and then I'll do the tack down. Okay, once you have it all taped and ready to go, you're going to send it over the machine, and it's going to do a tack down stitch, and it'll tack down the front and the lining. Okay, it's tacked it down. It's tacked down both the front and the back. Now the next step would be batting. It would do a placement stitch right here, and you would put batting, and then you would cover it with batting, tack it down, and you would trim it. But I'm using quilted fabric, so it already has batting in it. So I am going to skip them 2 steps. But I'll stitch the placement so you can see it. Okay, you would put your batting down right here, and then it would tack it down, and then you would trim it. That way it isn't all fat inside your outer stitches. But once again, as I said, I'm not doing batting. I'm just doing this quilted fabric. So our next step would be to pull this down. We're going to pull our front fabric down just like this. And I like it to be nice and taut, so I tape mine down so it looks nice and neat up at the top. Okay. And you're going to leave the back lining. You're not going to do anything with that yet. Okay, so you're just going to do this and send it over the machine to do the tack down. Okay, it's did the tack down. Okay, now it's going to do a placement stitch for the bottom vinyl. Okay, it's hard to see, but there is a placement line right there. Okay, so now I'm going to cover it with my vinyl, making sure my bottom overhangs 1/2 inch. And make sure I cover all of that, and over the sides have to overhang 1/2 inch as well. Okay, and now I'll tack it down. Okay, it's tacked it down. Now I'm going to trim my vinyl just at the top here and send it over to the machine. It'll do the satin trim, and it will do the decorative stitch in here. Okay, you can see I trimmed it. Now I'll send it over the machine. It'll do the satin stitch and the decorative stitch. Okay, stitch the decorative stitch. Now you're going to turn the hoop over and knock thread off the counter. You're going to unroll your lining. You're going to pull it down nice and snug right here. Tape it. And send it back over to the machine and tack it down. Okay, it's tacked the lining down, see? Okay, and it did, it's going to do the placement stitches for the purse strap handles, okay? Okay, instead of placement stitch here and here, I'm going to fold my tabs in half and tape them in place. If you're going to use D-rings, you may want to tape them down so they don't flip up and get caught in the needle. Okay, all right, now I'm going to tack those down. Okay, it's tacked down my purse strap tab, so now I'm going to unzip my zipper. Okay, you're going to unzip it, and then I'm going to retape those back down, and I always tape my zipper tab as well. Oops. Okay, tape it down. Okay. Now, if you're going to put a pocket on your bag, you will do it now, and I am. I'm using the same Stardust vinyl from my punk embroidery, and you want to make sure your pocket hangs over a 1/2 inch on the bottom, and I folded the top and sewed it. So you're going to put your pocket face down. Once again, make sure your bottom hangs over a 1/2 inch, and make sure your top's even. And I always tape my pocket down. I don't want it to move during the sewing process or embroidery process, because then it would just be messed up. Okay, now that's there. Now you will take your back fabric and you will place it over top of all of that, just like this. Okay, like a sandwich. Now, if you were doing batting, you would put that on top of this. I'm not using batting because I'm using the same quilted fabric, but if you were going to do batting, you would add the batting right now as well. Now I will send it over and do this tack down, this sew to all these sandwiched together. Okay, it's tacked all this together. Now, if you had batting, you would trim your batting close to the edge before you went to the next step, okay? Now we're going to turn our hoop over, and I am going to trim out my stabilizer that's right here behind the zipper, okay? I just take my scissors, typically, and then just, usually they slide. They're getting a little dull though. So I just snip this out because it's easier now than it is after the purse is made. Okay? Okay, once that's all trimmed, you're going to take your other piece of lining and you're going to put it face down if it has a pattern. And make sure you're over the top of the zipper. And tape it in place and send it over the machine for the last stitch. Okay, it's did the last tack down, so now what I'm going to do is remove all my tape, take it out of the hoop, and trim it up. First of all, I trim all my excess stabilizer. Then I turn it over and I fold back my two linings and I cut the bottom about 1/4 inch or so. Okay? And then where the opening is, I take my lining and I cut it at an angle, just like that. Then I fold it back and I cut around the rest of the bag. Okay? Oops. These scissors are crazy sharp. Okay. Okay, what do I got here? All right, now that's all cut. First off, okay, it's all cut. I'm going to turn it right side out through the lining opening, okay? Because this is mostly fabric, it's really easy. But you still want to be somewhat gentle so you don't tear your opening up. Okay. Get your corners out. Somewhere I have a handy dandy paintbrush that I use to push my corners out. Like right there. Down here at the bottom. Okay, now to close the bottom, close this bottom, what you do is you tuck this up inside there, fold it at the seam, and then you tuck the other side the same. Okay, you can hand stitch it, glue it, or tape it. Okay, because this is fabric is really thick, you know, because it's that quilted, I am going to glue it today. So I'm going to get my little Wonder clips here. And shake my glue. Today's choice of poison is Flexible Fabric Glue by Aleene's. Okay. Okay, I've got it taped or glued, and while it dries, I'll reach under here and untape my zipper, untape my tabs, unzip my zipper the rest of the way carefully. And take that tape off. So I'll be back in a few minutes once that dries. Okay, I think my glue's dry enough. Now I'm going to turn it right side out. Make sure you're at the front of the bag and your pocket if you used one. And just turn it right side out through the zipper. And just like this. Get your fingers to push the corners out before you use a tool. That way you don't rip or stretch your vinyl out. Alright, there we go. That's what it will look like. And let's see. This vinyl from my punk broidery is Stardust Deep Blue. It is so pretty. So pretty. Okay, there you have it. Now I'll add a snap back here for my pocket. Okay. Put on some straps. There's the inside all lined. Okay. All right. Okay, thank you.